Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another fascinating deep dive. Today we're heading down south to the Lone Star State.
Texas.
You got it. We're exploring the rise of Texas, how it's becoming such a powerhouse. And to guide us, we've got this awesome video from RealLifeLore, why Texas is becoming America's most powerful state.
A classic real-life lore. Great blend of data and storytelling.
Definitely. Get ready for some eye-opening facts. You might be surprised just how much is going on in Texas.
I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, yeah. What's really fascinating to me is, Texas has always kind of played second fiddle to states like California.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's changing and fast.
Yeah.
And I think the implications are huge, not just for Texas, but the whole country.
Yeah, for years, Texas has been like the runner-up.
Yeah.
But Real Life Lore points out that things are changing, especially in terms of population and the economy.
The growth has been incredible. I mean, consistently outpacing everyone, especially California, which is actually seeing a slowdown for the first time ever, I think.
Yeah, I was shocked to learn that California's population actually declined after 2020, while Texas added like almost 1 million people in that same time frame. What's driving that shift?
Well, the pandemic definitely played a role, kind of accelerating trends that were already happening. But I think it's more than that. People and businesses are looking for new opportunities, a different pace of life maybe, and Texas seems to be ticking a lot of boxes.
Makes you wonder, could you see yourself packing up and moving to Texas?
It's definitely a thought. But seriously, the state's growth is impacting everything from housing to politics, and it's having ripple effects across the whole nation. One of the most striking things to me is this thing called the Texas Triangle.
The Texas Triangle. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that all about?
So picture this: Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, all kind of linked together, a mega region.
Whoa, that's a lot of big cities.
Huge. We're talking 22 million people, diverse industries, all packed into an area roughly the size of Georgia.
That's mind-blowing. Like, imagine the combined power of Southern California, but mostly within one state.
Exactly. And the diversity within the triangle is amazing. You've got the tech hub in Austin, the financial center in Dallas, the energy powerhouse in Houston. Something for everyone.
Speaking of energy, Texas and oil. It's a classic combo, right? Going all the way back to that Spindletop gusher in 1901.
Oh, yeah, Spindletop. That was like a defining moment. It transformed Texas, from this rural state into a real industrial powerhouse, shaped its identity for generations.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing, right? In the late 20th century, there was a decline in oil production, leading to more reliance on foreign imports, more vulnerability to things like the oil crisis back in the 70s.
Oh, absolutely. That period really exposed the risks of being so dependent on energy from elsewhere. It also spurred a wave of innovation, which led to the fracking revolution.
The fracking revolution, that was a game changer, wasn't it? Unlocked those huge reserves of shale oil and gas, brought Texas back to the top of the energy game.
Completely. I mean, Texas now produces more oil than Iraq and has some of the largest oil fields on Earth, like the Spraberry Wolf Camp in the Permian Basin.
Permian Basin, honestly, I'm not too familiar with that. What's the deal with that?
It's this massive geological formation in West Texas, just packed with oil and natural gas. Combine that with fracking technology, and Texas is, an energy giant.
So Texas went from being this oil-dependent state to relying on foreign imports and then back to a major producer thanks to new tech. That's wild.
It really highlights the power of innovation and adaptation in the energy sector, but, and here's the twist, Texas isn't just about oil and gas anymore.
Oh, for one.
It's becoming a leader in renewable energy, too.
Really? I always picture Texas as all about oil and cowboys. Wind and solar don't really fit that image.
Right. But get this, Texas is actually the top wind energy producer in the U.S., and they're making big moves in solar power, too.
So they're diversifying their energy portfolio. Smart move.
It is. Reduces their reliance on fossil fuels and positions them well for the future.
Yeah, I can almost picture those huge wind farms stretching across the Texas plains, harnessing that wind power. Pretty cool image, actually.
It is, and it's a sign of the times. More and more places are recognizing the potential of renewables, and Texas is leading the way.
All that energy abundance, it must make a big difference for people and businesses there, right?
Absolutely. Lower energy costs make Texas even more attractive to businesses, families, everyone, and it helps their overall economy stay competitive.
So it sounds like Texas is doing great. Rapid population growth, a booming and diverse economy, tons of energy resources, both traditional and renewable. What does it all mean for the rest of us?
That's the big question, isn't it? Texas's rise has implications that go far beyond its borders. It's a story we all need to pay attention to because it's shaping the future of America.
I'm definitely ready to dive deeper into all of this, see what the future holds for Texas and for all of us.
There's a lot to unpack here. This is just the beginning.
Hmm.
Yeah, Texas's influence is definitely growing, reaching beyond its own borders. It raises some big questions about its role in the whole country.
It's kind of like Texas is on this bigger stage now, and everyone's watching, wondering what their next move will be. And speaking of moves, Real Life Lore mentioned that Texas's location is a huge advantage for businesses.
Oh, absolutely. Right in the heart of the U.S., easy access to both coasts and even down to Latin America.
And don't forget DFW Airport, one of the busiest in the world. Connections everywhere. It's becoming a major hub for travel and trade.
That kind of connectivity is gold for businesses operating on a national or global scale.
Right.
Makes Texas a strategic location for logistics and trade.
Plus, you can't forget those tax advantages. No state income tax, no capital gains tax. That's got to be pretty tempting for companies and individuals.
Definitely a big draw, those economic incentives. And then when you factor in the lower cost of living in Texas compared to, say, California,
Yeah.
it's easy to see why people are moving there.
Right. Remember those median home prices Real Life Lore showed? Houston and Fort Worth are way more affordable than San Francisco or Los Angeles.
Those economic factors are huge drivers for folks looking for a better quality of life. And Texas seems to be offering that.
But it's not just about affordability. Texas also has a ton of different industries, from tech to finance to aerospace.
That's right, diversified economy, crucial for long-term stability. The Real Life Lore video said there are 54 Fortune 500 companies based in Texas now, more than any other state.
Wow, that's impressive. So they're attracting businesses from all over. It's interesting how Texas has shifted from being so reliant on oil to having a more balanced economy now.
Yeah, the evolution of the oil industry in Texas is pretty fascinating. From those boom days to the decline and then the resurgence with fracking, it's all about innovation, adaptation, and resilience.
It's remarkable how fracking technology completely changed things for Texas and the whole U.S. energy scene. It's a reminder of how powerful technology can be, how much it can impact industries and economies.
It really was a game changer. Reduced U.S. dependence on foreign oil, boosted domestic production, and Texas was leading the charge.
Real Life Lore had some crazy stats. Texas produces 43% of America's oil now and 25% of its natural gas.
Those numbers are mind-blowing, and it's not just the sheer amount of oil and gas, but the location of it all. The proximity to major cities and infrastructure gives Texas a huge advantage.
Right, Real Life Lore mentioned how that strategic location makes production and transportation easier and cheaper. Less reliance on complicated pipelines, and fewer geopolitical risks, too.
Exactly, a win-win situation. Texas benefits from its energy resources, and the U.S. gets greater energy independence. It's interesting how that fracking boom in Texas has actually had a positive impact on the global energy market.
Yeah, Real Life Lore talked about how the U.S. went from being a big oil importer to a net exporter, and Texas played a key role in that.
For sure. The increased production in Texas has helped the U.S. become a major player in the global energy market. It's giving them more flexibility and leverage in international affairs.
And that energy independence couldn't have come at a better time, given all the geopolitical stuff happening.
Absolutely. Think about the situation with Russia and Ukraine. The U.S., thanks in no small part to Texas, has been able to step in and provide Europe with energy, helping them reduce their dependence on Russian oil and gas.
Wow, it's amazing to think that something happening in Texas can have such a huge impact on the global energy landscape. But let's not forget about the other side of energy renewables. It seems like Texas is making progress there too.
Oh, definitely. They're leading in wind energy production and making good progress with solar power. It shows they're serious about diversifying their energy mix and investing in sustainable solutions.
It's encouraging to see a state so known for oil and gas also embracing renewable energy. It seems like they're trying to prepare for a future that's less dependent on fossil fuels.
That transition to renewable energy is key for a sustainable future, and Texas is playing a big part in it.
It's inspiring to see a state like Texas working with both traditional and renewable energy sources. It shows that you can have a strong economy and still care for the environment.
Finding that balance is so important, and it's something other states and countries can learn from.
So we have a state with a booming economy, tons of energy resources, both traditional and renewable, and a strategic location that makes it a global player. Are there any downsides to Texas's rise?
Well, fast growth always comes with its own set of challenges. Infrastructure, housing, education, healthcare, all these things need to keep up with the influx of people and businesses. And then there's water. A growing population puts more and more pressure on water supplies, which is a big deal in Texas. It's a tough balancing act, trying to manage growth while making sure the quality of life stays high and the benefits are shared fairly.
Sounds like Texas has some complex issues to deal with as it goes through this period of rapid growth. What about the impact on the environment? More energy production, urbanization, and industrial activity must have some effect on the natural world.
You're right, that's a crucial point. It's so important to find that balance between economic growth and environmental protection. Sustainable practices, conservation efforts, and responsible resource management are key.
And we can't forget about the social and cultural implications of all these people moving to Texas. Texas has a rich and diverse culture, but rapid growth can sometimes create tension as different communities interact and adapt.
Absolutely. Preserving cultural heritage, fostering inclusivity, and encouraging dialogue are all essential for keeping things harmonious in a rapidly changing environment.
So even though Texas's rise is impressive, it's not without its complications. There are challenges to address and tough decisions to make.
But challenges can also be opportunities. Texas has the chance to learn from other states and find a path towards sustainable and equitable growth that benefits everyone.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? One state kind of reflecting all these big challenges and opportunities facing the whole country.
Like a microcosm, yeah.
Well,
Melting pot of cultures, industries, dealing with growth, sustainability, you name it.
RealLifeLore didn't really get into the potential downsides of all this growth, but it's worth thinking about. What kind of unintended consequences could there be?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is infrastructure. Can their roads, schools, utilities, can they handle all these new people and businesses?
Good point. And what about housing? More people usually means higher prices. What happens to the folks already living there?
It's a real concern, and it's tied to that bigger issue of, income inequality. How do you make sure everyone benefits from all this growth, not just a select few?
Tough questions. No easy answers.
Mm.
Seems like Texas is at this crossroads. So much potential, but also some serious challenges.
A pivotal moment, for sure. And whatever choices they make now, they'll have lasting impact.
It's like what RealLifeLore said about fracking.
Yeah.
How it kind of came out of nowhere and changed everything.
Totally. A tech disruption that shook up the energy world.
Makes you wonder, what's the next fracking? What's the next big thing that's going to come along and change the game?
That's the exciting part, right? Who knows? Maybe some breakthrough in renewable energy, AI, biotech. Anything's possible.
All that potential for innovation, it's pretty mind-blowing to think about.
The key is to stay open, embrace new ideas. You never know what's around the corner.
So, all this about Texas, why should our listeners care? What's the takeaway for them?
It's not just a Texas story, It's a story that has implications for all of us. Texas is kind of a trendsetter. What happens there, it often impacts the rest of the country.
A reminder that we're all connected, right?
Exactly. Texas's rise, it's a story that's still unfolding, and we should all be paying attention.
Well, folks, that's our deep dive into the Lone Star State. Hope you enjoyed the journey.
It's been a pleasure, as always.
Keep those brains curious, keep learning, and keep exploring. Until next time, happy diving.